Dress up for his mug shots.
He was nervous that it was picture gonna be on the milk carton.
Maybe that's it. Yeah.
We're live, Commissioner. Okay. Should we start?
Yep. We have to.
Okay, we welcome everybody here. We have the Forest Service, Michael Englehart. Michael, hello. How are you? Glad to see you're with us.
Howdy. Good to see you all. Good to join you all.
Okay, and we have a room completely packed full of people. There's 5 of them here. So welcome everybody. Jamie's on his way, so he'll be here in a few minutes. We open our meeting with an invocation. We offer the audience a chance to participate, or if nobody wants to participate, somebody at the table here will. And then we'll have the pledge after that. And so does anybody want to offer opening prayer this morning? Want me to? Okay, I'll do it. Our dear Heavenly Father, as we come before Thee in this public meeting as county commissioners and employees and the public, we're grateful to be here today. We're grateful for the opportunity we have to be of service to our citizens in this great county of San Juan County. We are mindful of the difficult decisions that we need to contemplate and ask Thee for Thy blessing in making those decisions, that we will do right by the public and do right by our employees. We're grateful for the wonderful employees we have in this county. Some place themselves in harm's way, and we ask Thee to protect them and be with them. We're grateful for the great country we live in. We ask Thee to bless our president, that he'll make good decisions that will be beneficial to all of us. We ask Thee to bless our governor and his staff, that they will make good decisions for the state and for San Juan County. We're so grateful to be in the positions that we're in, and ask for Thy guidance in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. Okay, if you'll stand and join us in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. There he is. Welcome, Jamie.
How are we?
Want to do it again? Okay, I've looked over the agenda, and I don't have a need to declare any kind of conflict of interest. Either one of you commissioners?
I don't.
Okay.
No comment.
And Jamie doesn't, so we don't have a conflict of interest this morning. We'll turn the time over to Mac for public comment.
Okay. Just a reminder, if anybody's wishing to make public comments here in the audience, please sign up. I didn't see anybody that signed up here. With that, if there's anybody online, it looks like we have kind of few participation online. If there's anybody wishing to make a public comment online, you could raise your hand. There's a raise your hand function on Zoom. If you click on your name and right click, you can do that, or unmute yourselves. I'm not seeing anybody unmute themselves. Commissioner, that looks like your comment period for today.
Would you go through the consent agenda for us? And
absolutely. So, on the consent agenda items, the first one on here, let's see, you have we'll make sure we get the right meeting pulled up here in a second, but on here you have the approval of the lease agreement with ImageNet for the Blanding Library print copy machine. The approval of the lease agreement with the ImageNet for the Human Resource print copy machine. Consideration item number 3 is, so on both of those, with ImageNet, we're able to either purchase the print copy machines outright. Blanding Library's print copy machine is in failure mode, has been for a minute, and so we need to replace that one. We'll purchase that one outright. but with it comes the opportunity to have it serviced through this service agreement. So that's what we're approving today, is that service agreement and the ability to purchase that one outright. We also have a human resources print copy machine. We've always had a copy machine in human resources. That one's kind of a critical one. On this one, it'll be a service with either we can purchase that one outright or lease that print copy machine for $38 a month. And so we'll look at that. If I can tie that with CARES Act funds, rather purchases outright now, so that we have it's only I think in the agreement it was listed in here around, and it's similar to the one that we're purchasing for the library where it has the copy scan print function. They're around $1,500 to purchase outright, so not a huge expense. On item number 3, you have consideration and ratification of a resolution of appointment of the San Juan County representative and an alternate representative for the Utah County Indemnity Pool annual membership meeting. That one was required to turn that in by the deadline, and so I went ahead and submitted that. This is just to ratify that resolution that we had passed. Commissioner Adams, you're automatically on that because you are the chair of USIP, and so we put you forward as that. And then our alternate, I just went to the vice chair, which is Commissioner Stubbs, to be the alternate representative on that, and that will change as the seats change for the commission. And that today, let's see, I believe, so we got on item number 4, there's one other item here. You've got the approval of the October 2023 small purchases of $1,664.30 for a hydraulic and motor oil for the landfill. Got $7,400 for U.S. Travel Associates conference booths and exhibits for economic development and visitor services as they attend that board meeting and represent San Juan County. And then you've got $7,604.91 for transmission parts and $1,049.14 for truck box replacement that rusted out, and $7,745 for a welder for the road department. That today, Commissioners, all of your items under the consent agenda.
Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion.
We have a second?
I'll second.
Motion by Sylvia and a second by Jamie. Further discussion? I will say on the USIP item, it's the USIP membership meeting is Wednesday at 4:45 in the garden room right in the center of the conference center. And you're welcome to come. That's a short meeting, maybe 15 or 20 minutes. And when we leave there, we go to the Rib and Chop House just across the street, and everybody that's going to the conference in the county is invited to that dinner, and USIP will pay for the dinner. So any of you that are going down, please join us at the Rib and Chop House on Wednesday night. Then we have the banquet on Thursday night, and USIP will provide the meal. And then there's presentations, election results, and drawings for the various county gifts. And San Juan County always brings the best gift to that. So everybody is trying to, I don't want to put any pressure on you, but everybody brings a nice gift. And we provided some that I've had comments back from commissioners that have won the gift and then come to San Juan County, and they really, really like it. So anyway, all in favor of the motion on the consent agenda, say aye.
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 Aye also. That's 3 in favor, 0 opposed. We'll go to item number 5, Utah State Extension Service Program update. Reagan.
Thanks, Rick. Do you want me to pass those out?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Okay. Both of us, awesome.
All right,
Good morning. Thank you for meeting with me, commissioners. So I just wanted to give an annual report. It's been a moment since we've been here to update everybody what the Extension Office has been up to. So at the beginning of January, I did step out for maternity leave. We had our Master Gardener program operating, and some of that time we do a Southeastern County collaboration with traditionally it was Price and Emery County that I collaborated with. We offered a virtual Master Gardener 14-week college course program, and now we've included Duchesne, Uinta, and Grand counties also in the collaboration. So now we're all full force helping to encourage and grow the Master Gardener program in our part of the state. So with that, San Juan County now has 15 Master Gardeners. As of the end of this, we finish up our course at the end of February of each year. So we're starting to advertise for Master Gardeners for 2024 to be enrolled, and that program is it costs $200 to enroll in that, but there is an early bird discount of $120 if you get in before. I don't know the exact date. It's mid-December though. So if you know of anybody in the community that would like to become a Master Gardener, we do require them to participate in 40 hours of learning. So the curriculum, and then we also require 40 hours of volunteer services at either one of our garden centers or to help the Extension Office in garden education. So that's something that's a really great benefit. The other thing that I have here, and we'll kind of just go through, when I kind of stepped out mid-spring, we had Ryan Benally come and get hired. I believe we came and had him introduce himself in March at that time. So he's been going and he's been rolling. He has a letter that I've given out that you guys can read on spare time of his updates and where he's going with his programming since he started on March 1st. It looks like he has a really great head start. But I have in there just a little bit of highlight impacts here on our one-page sheet for a lot of the positives that we've seen throughout the year. So 4-H as a whole, we received $20,000 in departmental funding from our 4-H department in extension, and that helps us pay for a 4-H program coordinator. We are trying to grow impacts and enrollments throughout our county to see if our extension department will allow to have a full-time benefited paid position for our 4-H coordinator. So with that, we've had over 129 new youth enrollments in our 4-H program just in 2023. Historically, we've had numbers lower than 207 in the last, since I've started in 2019. So a lot of that is due to our 4-H coordinator, Kristen Black. She's been doing a phenomenal job, and I just kind of listed a summary of the activities that we've offered in addition to our general junior livestock program and other programs that are offered in the county. Ongoing, we also have a Blanding Elementary after school program that we operate with the San Juan Foundation. San Juan Foundation operates 3 other after school programs, but we take the leadership over Blanding Elementary after school. And we've seen a lot of great positive impacts in those programs and offering 4-H activities to the youth that participate in those activities. So we are looking, right now our grant's going to finish up at the end of summer of 2024 for that program. So we're looking for additional funding to continue operating that program out of our office. We also have a program called My PI. It's a youth CERT training that we are starting to implement over at ARL Middle School. And that program is a statewide collaboration of the youth CERT training program that's run by another extension faculty, Michael Pate, up in, I believe he's in Logan, Utah. So again, it's a statewide collaboration. So there's additional funding that's coming from that program that we're bringing into the county to run the CERT training over at ARL. After we do a test run at ARL, we want to start expanding and growing that program into the other middle school and high schools. So ARL is kind of our test location for that program. With Family and Consumer Sciences, Ryan has been getting trained. Actually, this week he is on training for Create Better Health program. It's one of our larger statewide food and nutrition programs. It replaced, I don't know if you've heard of Food Sense, but it replaced Food Sense and changed the name to Create Better Health several years ago. And so he is on the collaborative funding with that project, which is a little bit more than $1.6 million of funding that program brings statewide. And so a portion of that money comes into the county as well to run Create Better Health programs. So we have officially...
Do you think that money will flow downstream all the way to San Juan County?
Yes. So we have, right now we have one guaranteed, just promoted. She was a part-time Create Better Health coordinator. She is now a full-time and benefited salary paid Create Better Health coordinator out of Monument Valley. So she runs programs in Monument Valley, and she's been starting to come up to Monticello and do programs here and there. And Ryan's taking leadership of the northern portion as well.
And that's already been funded out of the 1.6 million.
Yes.
Perfect.
And then getting to my programs, about 6 months out of the year, I was out for a lot of the personal reasons in my life, but we did offer a crop and beef school in February. That's an annual thing that we do every year, and we do show a lot of great support and gaining of participation of farmers and ranchers coming to those programs. We are looking, we do that program in collaboration with the San Juan Conservation District every year. So they help, we help get caterers and fund, and they help us advertise and sponsor the program, and we come together to have a full day of educational opportunities that are benefited. So this past year we had a series of discussions focused on drought and drought remedy opportunities that producers would be able to consider coming out of drought, or even improving their operations because of drought. So that's one program that we do every year.
Are you able to tap into the 1.6 million with the programs that you're running, or is that separate? With
Create Better Health,
Yeah.
it's separate. It's separate. Yeah. Yeah, we try and have collaborative programs. So at the end of 2022, when I was checking out on maternity leave, we were having our Create Better Health program and our 4-H programs collaborate together to offer 4-H family nights. So we do try and do as much collaboration of programs as much as possible. And we did a lot of that because our 4-H coordinator, Kristen Black, she was a Create Better Health ambassador at the time, but she wanted to move forward into 4-H. So we moved her into 4-H. We were in need of a 4-H coordinator. And so our Create Better Health coordinator in Monument Valley, it's a little bit hard to allow collaboration on those ends. And we didn't have Ryan at that time. So we're starting to look at family nights and getting back into family nights again. And so with that, as far as even 4-H, we're moving down into more of the reservation communities with our 4-H programming as well. Starting to offer, like I mentioned, the My PI is going to be a big one that we want to work with the school systems with down there, and then also doing family nights down there as well. And so with the family nights, we teach families food and nutrition, short, easy, quick meals, things like that to help the working parents and the kids going to school. And how do you come together to still have a healthy, nutritious meal? How do you meal plan? How do you save and preserve the best way you can? If you don't have a refrigerator, you can go to dried foods, and how do you preserve those? How do you recook those, rehydrate them? And so Ryan's going to be taking the lead of the Create Better Health program for Native American communities specifically, because it's very, very well designed for all of the other communities throughout the state, but not necessarily for Native American cultural foods. The other thing that Ryan has started to do, and our extension department has appointed him to, is helping with Native American design and implementation of curriculum for our rural online initiative. And I don't know if you've heard of that program. It's one that was it started over in St. George, and now it's a statewide recognized program, rural online initiative, where the education of online opportunities goes and reaches into even rural communities. So we're trying to look at seeing what the benefit of that would be with the new broadband internet access that's going to be coming to the reservation communities as well, and also to all parts of rural communities in Utah. So Ryan's going to be potentially taking the lead. We don't know what that looks like, but that's something that he's recently mentioned to me, which is a good pat on the back for him. So, as we continue going, in the past I've mentioned our community garden in Bluff project that has officially been taken over by the town of Bluff and the St. Christopher's Mission. So they are taking the leadership on that project now, which is what we want to see in extension, is we help bring in money to help establish programs of need, and then eventually allow the communities to adopt and take full ownership of those programs. And we come in and just assist in education. So we've had a good, successful program there. And we've seen a lot of great impacts just in establishing that space for the community there. We are looking to move into Aneth and Red Mesa and also Monument Valley communities now with community gardens. We were in discussion with the Utah Food Bank with CEO Jeanette Bott a couple of years ago about the community garden for Blanding, and I know there was discussions of the water restrictions for that garden space. I want to renew those discussions again because of the new water supply that would be coming into Blanding. Hopefully that would create and open some more opportunity for maybe the food bank to want to take ownership over a community garden space for Blanding, and we would like to come in and support that. The other thing that is on the table is Utah Navajo Health Systems has talked about supporting a community garden space in Blanding in the past. There was land that they were trying to get to use for community garden space. I was working with Christine Schulte, the dietitian out of UNHS, and we were going back and forth for at least a couple of years, but there was no guarantee that the space that UNHS was offering in Blanding would be able to forever be a space for garden. What it was sounding like was that they were going to request the garden to continue to be moved around on that land space. And so we're moving the efforts down to Montezuma Creek for that and working with Anna's chapter on that. We have a various variety of other programs that we work with in Extension. I've only listed just a few here. One of the other big programs that we've had for 3 years is working with the nonprofit Watts of Love. They're a company based out of Illinois. They work on a global basis. They've distributed their patent handheld solar lights to over 53 countries, and the United States in the Navajo Nation is the first community that they have distributed within the states. And so I've been working with them for about 3 years now, and we do have a goal to distribute one light in every household across the Navajo Nation, and having this program implemented into the medical systems for them to adopt it as a safety as a mechanism of safety for people in their community, that hopefully we can encourage the medical systems, IHS systems, to have a budget to invest in these solar lights regularly for the people in the community. We're also looking at the possibility of working with the school districts, so that way every child has a light on them, getting on and off the school or for even school related purposes. I'm happy to bring a light. I do have them down in storage if each of you would like one of these lights, and I would be happy to give you guys each a training also on the purpose and the benefit of these lights. They do. You can also charge them with a power source. You can carry them around. They come with a lanyard, and it's designed to be a very multi-purpose light. And so I will bring one for each of you.
Jamie needs one too.
I would be happy to go, and maybe I can text my staff assistant and ask her to bring me about
No rush.
Mac, did I ever give
I
you
have
one?
one in my office.
Okay, so Mac
So,
knows this.
Let me ask you a question.
Okay. Yes.
I'm looking at one down here on the lights.
Yes.
Where is Natchez-on?
Natsasan chapter at Navajo Mountain.
That's Navajo Mountain.
Yes. Yes.
And Tishbinkin.
Sotbekin, that's in Arizona. So Sotbekin, Natsasan, Sotbekin. Yeah.
You know how to say that, don't you, Doug?
And then Shanto chapters, they're all in the same grazing district.
I know where Shanto is.
And so I
They
work,
all in the same grazing?
they are. And so that's a lot of the reasons why I work with even across borders is because of that grazing district.
Okay, that helps. That helps my mental map.
Yes. So Shanto is, Sotbekin is Inscription House. If you've driven
it
through.
is?
Yeah.
At the inscription house.
Yeah, yeah. So that's their official chapter name. It used to be Inscription House, but they requested it to be changed to Sotbekin chapter.
Sure.
So, and then
They just do that to confuse the Anglo people.
where is it? Where is it?
But you say transition house. You're like,
So those are some of the major highlights. I have a self-assessment letter that I wrote and I submitted to my tenure committee, and I believe the letter that's attached for Ryan also is a part of that. So that just kind of highlights a little bit more over the 5 years that I've been employed with the Extension Office, the work that I've done, and also the letter from Ryan, what he's been able to accomplish in his first year and his outlook for working with our office.
I just have a comment. As I have been working with UNAMI, it's an organization that deals with future energy and things like that. Last week, the person I have been working with announced that as a part of a small grant, we got $10,000 that go to USU for development a curriculum. They had to do with future energy, with the rare materials, and so they're going to be used in the curriculum, trying to use it in the schools. And as we sit on a plan, I'll see if there's a possibility to have a 4-H program with that, maybe, or even an after-school kind of a science kind of a class. I don't know,
Okay.
but I'll keep you posted with that.
Okay.
See if it's something that you can incorporate.
We're happy to collaborate. I know in the past when our previous who Ryan had replaced, her name was Paige Ray. She would, when the school district had the grant for after school programs across the entire school district, she would go and she would take like once a week for each month out of the year, make the commitment to go and support the after school programs and provide a 4-H activity at least once a month. With the schools that were further out, like in Monument Valley, she would try and spend maybe like a whole week there with them because it was easier to meet and go to Blanding maybe like every other week if they wanted to or things like that. But for the further schools, it was a full commitment for the week we do this and I stay there and then I come back type of a thing. So we've done that in the past and that's something that we would be happy to consider.
Okay, and I am a big believer of after-school program. Many years ago, I was in a meeting where they had a proposal for $1 million for after-school program. I have multiple bosses, and I talked to one. Was the one that redid the tractor here in the town? I can't think of his name.
Windmill Scott?
Yeah, he was one of my supervisors. And I came back and told him, we need to write for this grant. And so I kind of created the outline of the program. And then we had a nice grant writer, Carol Barton, and we got $1 million and it started the after-school program in that area in Blanding. We even went to San Juan County. So it is a good thing. So
Thank you.
because you still doing things like that?
It's definitely what I've seen out of our office is it definitely just the one program itself. We have a site coordinator and we have, we're supposed to be able to hire 4 educators. We have some substitute teachers. Right now we have 3 educators and 1 substitute. And then we also have money in the grant to hire a teacher that like a certified teacher to help offer tutoring for the kids. And so since I actually took over that grant from Paige Ray when she left and got a new job. And so when I started taking over it, which was starting of so about a year ago from the start of last academic year.
Look at that.
Thank you.
She's so awesome.
There's the delivery girl.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So it was last, it's been about a year. So 1 whole school year and then a summer. We have taken it and we have we have a whole handbook that we have for our educators to follow. We do require them to go get regular trainings. They have to get about 20 hours of outside training. So they do go and they travel to other conferences for after school trainings. They also, right now we're looking at ways of improvement. So I'm about to conduct performance evaluations with them. So there's a lot more in just school care. We're not a daycare, we're a school and we do label our educators as teachers basically. And so we want to uphold our programs for the quality of that we're not just a babysitting center and that our educators are focusing that they have the opportunity to make an impact in a child's life, to be that educator. And I just sat with them last week and I just kind of, in getting them ready for their performance evaluations, asked them, have you met the mission statement for Utah State University and for 4-H? And our 4-H is to make the best better. That's our motto. And so as an educator, I had them think about, and even with you all, when you're going to school, what's one teacher that you remember first? And was it the one that just kind of passed you off, or was it the one that really sat with you and helped you? Or, what did they do as an educator that really impacted you? So I asked my educators and I encouraged them to really think about that and ask themselves, do they want to be a mediocre person in a child's life, or do they want to be an impactful person in a child's life? And that's what our program strives to accomplish. So that's where we would like to go. But if we do more and have collaboration even with the school district to do this program, I would like to see, I'm just thinking about it because my site coordinator, she was on one of the teams when the school district had the grant. And so she was a grant coordinator basically. And so for our office people to run it, I was like, there's no way that I can be here at every single site and help with every little problem, because that's what my site coordinator calls me for. And so sometimes last minute I have to go and help with a situation at the school or with a child, or, help my site coordinator. And so for all the things that I do, I'm like, no, we need at least a couple of grant coordinators, a site coordinator at every location. We need at least 4 educators at each location and substitutes and teacher tutors at each location to be able to make that program operational. And so it's kind of more of the operation management piece and making sure that the kids are safe and that they're getting the best quality opportunities that they deserve to have in those programs. So that's how we uphold our after school program with Blanding Elementary.
Thank you.
I really appreciate Reagan giving these updates. I learn a lot from Reagan about our Native American culture, and I really appreciate it. And thank you for doing this. This is helpful, really helpful. Anything else? Anybody else? Jamie?
Yeah, just want to express my appreciation for the report, Reagan, and in our own dinabazad, ahihat nananish inigi.
I understood that part.
Nijano she inagit she kedatil yahagi bandika to. Oh, yuigunelle. nihi got kaho e ban desi kagoshin jonidole Gian anhe benia jo indawila ni nal yashida so yeah and yeah anath benlni ado chalchi das kanel to benlni ado na kebi troshi to ajigotinya natis anje in an anishin lala ho yeah so nijone
Thank you.
muchas
Gracias.
gracias and
And Mike.
excelente servicio.
So Mac and Sylvia have been to enough chapter meetings. They understood everything that Jamie said. Right?
I can say and also and thank you. Water.
Absolutely.
We love Jamie and his report.
He said, Reagan, you are the best. Where are the peaches?
Well, this year for harvest, we actually distributed peaches all the way out into Hopi. So I was in Hopi for a week and out in Crown Point area. We also gave at least 4 boxes to USU Blanding students, and they distributed there at the main campus. We also had somebody local in Blanding that's a good friend went all the way to Jedito and distributed out there, Ganado and Jedito too. So we shared peaches very far and wide across the Navajo Nation this year.
Perfect. That's so cool.
So do you guys have any other questions on our report?
No.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Well, I'd like to give you a training and then I'll hand out your lights. Actually, I probably should have had another box here, but
You can use mine to do it.
Cool.
Is this one I can give to you after? Okay. So on my self-assessment letter, there's actually an empowerment form. We don't do this without education, and every time that we do these distributions, we do sit down with each of our recipients and we train them and we make sure that they do know how to use this light. So we don't just hand it out. On my self-assessment letter, there is an empowerment form because oftentimes in each of the countries that Watts of Love goes into, there is a language barrier. And so imagery is the best way to provide education and also in front teaching. And so,
Is this an LED light?
yes, it is.
Well, it's going to be bright, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
To warm up my greenhouse, I got a new little greenhouse.
Yes. Perfect.
So on the self-assessment letter, you'll see the empowerment form. There's actually an image printed of it in there if you kind of go through. But we always say we have an image of the light. Now that you have a light, you no longer are in need of purchasing other fuel sources like batteries, kerosene oils, white gas, which is what we have heard are very common sources of light in a home. And the reason why this product actually came about was because the founder, Nancy Economo, she went over to the Philippines and she saw a girl with her face half burned. And they also have a lot of homes that are without electricity. And she found out in the community that that burns were a leading cause of damage to young children in the Philippines because of the lack of light source. So because they got burned on their kerosene oil lantern or something just to have light in their home. So she went on a mission to develop and patent this light. It's the light that they have only for them. If you feel on the top, you'll notice this is the solar panel on the back here, and then the elevated heart on the front. That's for if you can't see at night, you need to know which side to push on. That elevated heart also if you're blind or if you have trouble seeing. So you'll just put your finger on that heart and you'll push down and hold for 3 seconds. And the light will turn on. This is the lowest setting. There's instructions in the box. This setting will last 120 hours continuously running on a fully charged battery.
We're handicapped. We can't turn the light.
So
Hold it for 3 seconds.
hold it
Yeah,
down in
right
the
in the
middle
heart.
for 3 seconds.
Right in
1,
the
2,
Hold the
3.
heart for 3
So hold it down. Try again. So put your finger off and then try again. 1, 2, 3, and it should turn on. If it doesn't, then it needs to charge.
Just
No,
needs charged.
it needs to charge. Well, I'm glad I got the one that needs to charge.
Yeah, that's
Okay, so notice it has a red light, so that means it needs to charge. But if you hold it down again, this is second setting. This will last for 10 hours on a fully charged battery. This is the brightest setting. It'll last for 2.5 hours on a fully charged battery. And then this is a strobe light for emergencies and communication, and this will last for 5.5 hours on a fully charged battery. And then you push it and it'll turn off. So yes, you do notice that it will charge. It'll take charge, but you also can charge it with the sunlight. Yes, so you can plug it into your car. For the sunlight, it'll take all day. So you leave it out in the sun all day. For this, I believe it'll only take about 2 to 3 hours to charge. So the other thing that's really cool about this, and this is something that you can do, is you can pull out the lanyard.
I dare you guys to wear it at the UAT conference.
I do. I take it with me. It's actually my emergency light that I like, even for traveling and stuff. And even landing, we've had power go out. And there was one time it was out for 8 hours and it was dark. And I was like, well, I don't have the hot water or nothing. So I'm going to go get my kids ready for bed. And I found out a lot of my flashlights didn't have good batteries and things like that. So this was what I needed, and I used it for a good amount of time. So if you take your light and you have your lanyard, that's the next thing. You can take it and you can put it on this, and you can wear it around your neck. But this is also adjustable if you were to take it off. You can use the back side of your lanyard to slip it through these slot holes here on both sides.
Are we making you guys jealous?
I'm sorry. So you can hold it and hang it up in your house. You can have a place to hang it up in the middle of the night. It will light up an entire room. I've had it light up my entire kitchen of, like, I think it's 30 square feet for my kitchen. And so it'll light up, I mean, if you have a Hogan, it'll light up your whole Hogan, or your whole entire room. It basically almost lights up even going down the hallway into the bedrooms on my top floor, or even all the way downstairs on my main floor, my basement. So this is the one bonus. It's also, obviously, you can put it on your head and use it as a headlamp. And if you know the headlamps that you buy with the batteries, a lot of people, you're always like, I have to go buy more batteries, because they waste the battery very quickly. So if you need to go for a bike, or if you need to go walk, that is something you can keep on yourself. So that way, 1, you don't lose it. 2, it doesn't get stolen. The other benefit with this is it's really good to even just have and put it around you. So that way you can charge it on yourself if you want to put it around your neck. So it's just very versatile. We've seen a lot of people do a lot of different things. I've had a lot of people send me pictures after they received a light already, showing it hung up in their homes. Even those, we distributed out to Westwater last year in 2022. I asked them, even though they did get electricity, I asked, do you guys still use the light? And they say, yeah, sometimes, if we don't get our bill paid, or if the power shuts off, or if we need to go walk around at night, this light is still something that we always use. And we always keep on us, or if we need to go out to the outhouse, or because usually even though you may have electricity in your home, you don't have electricity power sources running to all of your sheds, to your barns, to check on your animals and all of these things. So this is a good economic money saver that we've been distributing over the last 3 years.
Well, thank you.
Sometimes my Hogan goes dark.
So I'm excited. I'm going to try it in my little greenhouse.
Yeah, perfect.
I gotta figure out how to get it charged. Oh, it's all charge it with a UVC.
Yeah. The chargers in USB.
If the power does die on it completely, you do need to charge it with the USB port. So you do need to find an energy source, and then you can start charging it from the sun from then after. So it does need that boost to get it going again. But it does have a battery, I think, of an iPhone 10, I think. So that's what gives it the energy source. And it does have a lifeline of 10 years. That's its projected lifeline. It also is water water resistant, but it's not waterproof. So if it falls in a puddle, just pick it up and dust it off. Try not to get it wet, but if water gets on it, just wipe it off and it should be good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you guys have any other questions?
We give people lots of deference if they bring us prizes.
Okay. Well, all we've asked is a budget increase, so.
Oh, yeah, that's coming up, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Very good.
Well, thank
Thanks,
you.
Reagan.
Thank you so much.
Okay, we're on item number 6, consideration and approval of the 2024 Rural County Grant Contract between San Juan County and the Utah State Governor's Office of Economic Opportunity. So, Elaine, do you want to give us the lowdown on that?
Sure. I submitted the request and wrote the grant for $200,000 to receive from the rural grant, and we received it. So this is the contract for you to approve it, and we'll be allocating about $175,000 of this funding to the rural grant program. We've got the application, probably will go out next month in December. So, and we gave away about the same amount this past year in January. So,
Those are to our local business.
yes, and all through San Juan County. So as long as you have a business license, if you don't have a business license, you're out. But you have to have a business
Where do you
license.
get a business license?
You can call my office. We'll be happy to help you get a business license. We've actually collected about $36,000 this year in business license fees so far. So, and thanks to Nate, he's doing a great job. He's the fellow in charge, and he's really rounding them up. So, and he also gave a presentation about business licenses at the Base Camp Summit, and he had people call him today or yesterday to apply. So, so the 200,000 is definitely a huge need for San Juan County, but I have also expressed that we need this funding to be doubled. So hopefully the legislators will see and hear our case. I talked to Ryan Starks, but if you're talking to legislators next year in the budget, the state budget, if they could increase that amount for our county, because we're, one of the poorer counties in Utah, we could really use double that amount. We've had over $1 million of requests
So we want
for
to
funding.
talk to them about the Governor's Office of Economic Opportunity, specifically the Rural
Yes.
County Grant.
Yes, to take it up for counties that are, have a poverty level. We've got the diversity. We have everything. We should be really granted. I would like to see it granted double, 400,000. We could make better use of it.
Is the State Office of Economic Opportunity, have they targeted certain officials, certain legislators?
No, that not to my knowledge. I talked to Ryan Starks earlier this year and Jerry Gamber, and I'm going to bring it up to her again. That it be considered not just for San Juan, but for other counties that are kind of in the same boat that we're in. And I know one of the comments has been to take that funding and just give it to one business, but in our community, we have been able to help so many small businesses to help them to either open or increase. I mean, Lewis Williams with his outfitting, the Actons for the Bears Ears Inn. I mean, the list goes on and on. So, it would be nice if we had a lot of money. You could give 200,000 or 50,000 or 100,000, but we have so many little businesses to help throughout San Juan County in every community that I just, and of course I don't make the decisions, the SED board does, but to spread the wealth around and, whether they're in Monticello or Blanding or Bluff or the Navajo Nation, anywhere throughout San Juan County, LaSalle, Spanish Valley, we want to spread that into those different areas. So, So hopefully we'll so this is just the contract to solidify that we'll receive the money and we'll be giving it out, and we'll probably we're going to add a little bit more money to it from the budget I submitted in order to increase some other and pay for some other things like the business summit and grant writer and whatever. So, but we'll make good use of it.
If Camille Johnson is on that board, but she's having a love affair with San Juan County right now.
I know. I love it. I love it. Yeah, she was at the base camp and she stayed all day.
She did. And went around. And
Yep.
saw
Yep.
what really San Juan County.
Yeah, we had a lot of people who really enjoyed. I got a lot of positive feedback from the base camp from the Friday meeting.
She
So-
grew up in the county, out at Navajo Mountain. Her father ran that trading post.
Uh-huh.
Camille?
Camille.
Yeah.
Really?
Yep, her father ran that for years, and so
Well, I know she's got.
His last name wasn't his last name
that's
Johnson?
exactly from the
And
trading
that's
post.
where she
Yeah.
got it
Yeah,
from.
Yeah.
From her father. Yeah.
She really loves,
Oh, yeah.
and I think she's I love working with her, and we've had a great relationship. I adore her. So I think having her in that position is really going to help us a lot. So,
Yep, I do too. Yep. Well, do you need approval of the
you'll have to sign the contract so we can submit it back to the state.
To accept and sign the contract on this rural grant opportunity.
I'll motion.
Okay.
I'll second.
Motion by Jamie, a second by Sylvia. Any further discussion? Okay, I see none. All in favor say aye.
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 I also. And Elaine, I did want to tell you that I've been working with Jerry and the folks at the AOG to bring more support for homes that need repairs and especially the elderly people.
Right.
And they let me know that they're bringing that program to San Juan County. It's been very good in
Carbon and Emery.
Carbon and Emery.
Yep.
but we've seen nothing in San Juan County, and
Right.
there's a great need, and they recognize that, and they said they appreciated me bringing it up in our board meeting because it lit a fire under the people that
Right.
run that program, and they're going to.
I sent them the list of the contractors we have here in San Juan County, and hoping that we'll have a few of them sign on, because I know they're all busy. They're all working in Grand County and, building and,
And they do have an ad in the
they're really trying to secure. And the only thing we might have to help them out with, I was talking to Vicky Ori, who heads up that program, is we might have to buy or help support some type of equipment or a trailer, something that they can bring down here and keep down here, and in a location, whether it's at the maintenance garage in one of the communities.
Stuff at Mexican Hat. I don't know.
Did they?
Weatherization
I
has
don't
part of that
know.
building for that.
Yeah.
I don't
Oh,
know.
really?
Yeah. Yeah.
So she's going to
So it
get
may
back to
exist
me.
already.
Oh, really?
Jade kind of oversees that weatherization program as well.
Okay.
So
You think we could start
It
in the
might
old
be.
building, that the road department building
That's
where the
chock
emergencies?
full.
Huh?
Yeah,
It's
that's full. Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
We do have a surplus.
We have
there.
everything out of the weather in that building. All of our.
But they
fire
used to have it in Mexican Hat
apparatuses.
down there?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's
That's
work.
where
Let's
the
work and see what we can do.
weatherization-
Okay. Yeah, so I'm excited about that, and thank you, because anything we can do to help them to focus on, way down
Yeah,
here,
no, absolutely.
that's awesome.
Yeah. Any
So-
help that we can get. If there's
And
if
Jerry and
there's a
Jade are
barrier.
willing,
Yeah.
more than willing to bring whatever programs
Right.
the AOG to
And,
San
and they've
Juan
been
County.
supportive for me. And I know Vicky, Ori, and Tamara Dockstetter, they're working. They're going to try to have a couple of homes. They're going to work to see if they can get a few homes built down here. So we've been on this, and we're working on right now our housing assessment that's going to start with Points Consulting. I've already contacted them. We're going to have meetings. They're going to come down. Beginning in January, they're going to have on-site meetings here in San Juan County. So we'll enlist their help and the AOG to help us because they'll become a big part of providing a lot of information to Brian. Points.
Please include us in the Main Street program as well.
Right.
So hopefully,
Yeah. We talked briefly about that at the summit. They attended on Friday, and I was glad that they were there.
Yeah.
It would be great if we could, and I don't know all that's involved, but if the cities, each individual cities could get more involved in the Main Street program to help, the business owners, whatever it might do to help spruce up
right.
Monticello Blanding. I already met with Phil Lyman and his team about what their plans are for Blanding to have a walking area, which really sounds very nice. But I think we have to get more engagement from the cities.
Yeah.
So cool. Well, thank
I
you.
want to make a comment about
We had great engagement when Doug was the mayor.
I know Monticello City has that initiative as well.
It's hard. It's hard for the county because
Yeah, Monticello, they reported on Monticello City starting to ramp up efforts as well.
Oh, good.
I just want to, I was going to do this in my report part, but going to the basic camp, I thought, it's for everybody else, but it was amazing as a commissioner. I went from table to table, just learning so much. Somebody grabbing me, telling me something, the housing, people from the housing. As I started going that way, they pulled me this way. We talk about all this stuff. About childcare. There was somebody from Price that came about childcare, and they're so willing to invest in Blondie Monticello and childcare, and it was just on and on, just so many opportunities.
That's what it's about, the networking for our community, for San Juan County.
Not only for the community, for us to become acquainted with our programs are there to help. And I think one of the most blessed thing for me was there was an artist with the beautiful baskets. And I just, as I walked closer, she was one of my former students. And it was just so amazing. I was finding your fifth graders. And it was just amazing just to hear her about her life, all the things she have accomplished. And so it just was amazing. I thought there was, and the time went by so fast, and pretty soon it was time for me to talk. And
we're going to start planning for 2024. So we hope it, that's the goal of that base camp, is to bring something to all of our whole community, no matter where you live, but within San Juan County, and you leave there with something that you can take back and make use of it. So not just another, I won a conference and I can't.
You're going to have to get a bigger room.
Well, that's why we need our center at the fairgrounds over here. I know. I don't know what we're going to do. Yeah, we had to cut it off. We had 100, register, and people were calling, and we have no more room. So, but we even had the Grand County Tourism Director, Economic Development Director, Ben Fedrigill, who I've teamed up with. He came with his team, and Bill Winfield came, and his son, and from their company. So we have a lot of support from the Grand County too, which was nice. So, but thank you for coming. I'm glad you were there.
I was impressed at how many Native American people were there. I sat at the table with the husband and wife, and I think they were from down in Old Jado.
Yeah, they started an outfitting business. We're going to try to help them get more exposure. That's what it's about.
Yeah.
So the more and that was great that you got to know who they are, and we're hopefully going to connect with them. They just had their website done. They're looking for social media. So that's what it is, to help each other and support each other. So thank you for your support, and thanks for approving the contract.
Okay. Next, number 7, consideration and approval of the National Forest Draft Revision Land Management Plan draft EIS comment letter. Nick, and I don't know if, Michael, if you're going to have anything to say about this or take any questions, but let's have Nick go ahead.
Okay, good afternoon. As you may be aware, the Manti-La Salle National Forest released a draft revised land management plan and draft EIS for public review back in mid-August or so for a 90-day public review period. So that review period will end on November the 15th. I worked with various county staff as well as a PLIPCO staff, and we've prepared some comments here that are before you for your consideration in the letter. I'll just give you a little fairly short rundown on what the draft plan and the draft EIS contain. Now, in the draft EIS, there are 4 alternatives, A, B, C, and D. A is basically the no change alternative, which would continue management per the 1986 Forest Management Plan. Alternative B, Bravo, which is considered to be the proposed plan, basically would maintain levels of use, current levels of use, while improving infrastructure and restoring ecological health. It would also balance the primitive and non-motorized recreation experiences with less primitive and more motorized recreation experiences. And it would propose, I think, 6 recommended wilderness areas. Alternative C has the more active management with a more prescriptive approach, and management actions would be maximized to achieve the desired conditions more quickly. And there would be no recommended wilderness areas in that alternative. Alternative D basically limits human influences on the landscape. It's more of a passive management with change occurring through natural processes and limited human manipulation. And there, in that alternative, there would be more primitive recreation and the greatest amount of recommended wilderness areas. And there are many recommended wilderness areas in that alternative. Now, as far as the alternative B, which is the preferred alternative, some of the highlights of that would be that the Landing and Monticello municipal watershed, as it currently exists, would remain the same. No change in that. Vegetation management practices would focus on mechanical treatments and prescribed burning primarily. New livestock range improvements would be allowed. And then in the recreation opportunity spectrum system that the Forest Service uses for their visual resource analysis, typically there's been just one opportunity spectrum class, and there are things like primitive, semi-primitive, non-motorized, semi-primitive, motorized, roaded, natural, urban, and that sort of thing. Typically, those have been one class for year-round use. So in this plan, they decided that it would be more appropriate to have a summer class as well as a winter. And the difference on that would be when roads are no longer traversable by wheeled vehicles, in other words, snowpack, then that would kick in the winter class for that. So that's a little different take on how that's been done in the past. As far as dispersed camping goes, it would generally be...
But it would allow for snowmobiling and...
Yes,
and those
yes,
kind of
in the winter
activities.
system, right.
Okay.
Then dispersed camping generally is most everywhere on the forest now. In this particular proposed alternative, there would be designated sites along certain high use and high vehicle use as well as high dispersed camping use. And those in San Juan County designated would be along the La Salle Loop Road, the Hart Draw Road, the road here up to a mountain and down to Newspaper Rock area, that's Hart Draw Road, the Causeway Road, which is from Blanding to the northwest up onto the forest.
That goes out to Gooseberry, doesn't it?
Yes. And the North Creek Road, which is basically the Blanding Monticello over the mountain route. So there would be dispersed camping sites designated along those routes. Now, I mentioned wilderness study areas would be recommended in this alternative, the proposed plan. That would include, let's see, 6 areas. One would be in the central La Salles, which is the Mount Peel area of the La Salles. Ruin Canyon, which is on the northwest side of this Monticello district, borders the Beef Basin area. There would also be Elk Ridge, and the way they've named that describes the area from the Little Notch north to Horse Mountain, from that area, that road west, and that would join the existing wilderness area, the Dark Canyon Wilderness Area. Also, Hammond and Notch Canyons would be recommended for wilderness, as would Arch Canyon. And also the Chippean and Allen Canyon units would be recommended for wilderness. And these recommendations would mean the Forest Service would manage those areas to preserve those wilderness characteristics until, if and when, Congress would designate an area as wilderness. Congress still has the authority to make the designation. The Forest Service just makes a recommendation. And as far as wild and scenic rivers, there really were none in San Juan County, so there's no issue with that, none recommended. However, some actions that are on the Monticello district of the National Forest that are within the Bears Ears Monument were deferred until the Bears Ears Monument Plan is completed. Now, that would include things like the recreation opportunity spectrum classes and the scenic, I think they're called scenery management categories on the Bears Ears portion. Now, the letter before you with the comments, basically, some of them are quite get into the detail, into the weeds, so to speak, where we didn't think something was quite right on the various prescriptions that are in there. And those would include things like access, road closures, or actually roads wouldn't be closed unless they're within an area designated as closed. So comments on roads and access, the Peavine Corridor for one, which was created in the 1984 Wilderness Act when the Dark Canyon Wilderness was established. There was this motorized corridor that was provided for, that was carved out of the wilderness area. But yet in this plan, the prescriptions in there try to manage it as wilderness. And that's not the case. That corridor, I think it's 30 feet wide or so, was not to be managed as wilderness. This was just like other forest access roads. And the uses on that corridor, whatever they might be motorized, if they created noise or what have you, that impact on the adjacent wilderness areas, it would have no effect on it, because the 84 Wilderness Act said there would be no buffer zones created in this wilderness area. So a use outside the wilderness area could not be managed so it would not impact the uses or the wilderness character. So no buffer zones. So that I think is pretty important in this plan if we can get that resolved. It's not, the corridor is not to be managed as wilderness. And
that Peavine Corridor goes down into Dark Canyon all the way down to the Scorup Cabin, is that right? Or
up to the Scorup Cabin. Yeah, it intersects Dark Canyon, goes up to the Scorup Cabin and to Rig Canyon, and up Rig Canyon to the old steam drill site.
So that old drill rig that's still there, huh?
Parts of it, yeah, right. Yeah, so that's part of the Peavine Corridor, carved out of the wilderness area.
In that 84 Act.
Yes. And
what happens to motorized travel in Hammond Canyon and Dark Canyon? Did you say Arch Canyon?
Arch Canyon. It would not be allowed.
So that would eliminate all that?
Unless those roads are cherry stemmed out. And as I had a question on, there's two roads. One goes to the Cream Pots area off the Milk Ranch Point Road,
Right.
north of it. And that would be cherry stemmed out of any wilderness unit that's recommended for Hammond Canyon. So there is the instance where the existing access roads could be cherry stemmed out of those units. So it'd still be access
Are we recommending that in our letter
for wilderness.
for those cherry stems in those
No,
recommended-
We're basically recommending no
wilderness in those canyons?
Yes.
Yeah, I think we'd get big pushback from residents of Landing, Monticello, and South if we want to create all those canyons as wilderness.
Yeah. Well, interestingly, the 1984 Utah Wilderness Act that established, I can't remember how many wilderness areas in Utah, included the Dark Canyon unit.
Right.
It said there would be no more wilderness designations or analysis in Utah unless specifically authorized by Congress. And Congress has not specifically authorized that. So there's some question as to
But
whether the Forest Service could even recommend.
Yeah,
Well-
but if the Forest Service is going to recommend that wilderness area, then that's going to open up some conversation with Congress, isn't it?
It should. And I think the PLIPCO, their organization, is going to really push this for no more wilderness evaluations or recommendations in Utah forest lands unless Congress authorizes that.
Okay.
So that's basically kind of a short summary, highlights of some of the plan and the points that are in the letter. So this letter would be San Juan County's comment letter to the forest. And this is still a comment period. And when all the comments are analyzed and whatnot, and any changes, if any, the Forest Service chooses to make in the final plan, then the next step would be that record of decision in the final plan, and our option there for any comment, so to speak, would be a protest, I believe, rather than just a comment. So we're getting to the last phases or stages
Right.
of this.
Right.
So,
Michael, have you got any comments?
Well, first of all, I've read the draft letter, and I just want to thank you for all of the considerations. Many of the statements made in the draft letter are very practical discussions to have about the, picking out some specific language having to do with how restrictive we're saying certain things. So I wanted to thank those that put it together. So I think there's a lot of practical solutions there. There are a couple of points in there that are happening at the level with PLIPCO, and I think your draft letter as it stands right now does very adequately and accurately capture some of our conversations we've had with PLIPCO, particularly around the 1984 Wilderness Act, Utah Wilderness Act, and some of those considerations around recommended wilderness. I do believe that our deputy regional forester, as well as our forest supervisor, has made a commitment to PLIPCO and to counties that have expressed an interest and concern around a recommended wilderness to get an interpretation or better understanding from our Office of General Counsel as to why can in plain language, the 1984 Wilderness Act, Nick has captured it in plain language very, very well, what it states there. Just trying to understand why it's also in very plain language in our 2012 planning rule that wilderness is a multiple use that we have to consider. I'm not here to debate that. I'm here to just relay upon that we have made a commitment as an agency to convey to the state and to the counties that have expressed an interest and concern around recommended wilderness our legal interpretation. So I'm waiting for some legal counsel on how to describe how that all works between our planning rules, our multiple use laws, as well as the 1984 Wilderness Act. So more to come there, and certainly more in the way of discussion. Um, I, again, I just appreciate the comments. I'm not here to really affect how you guys write your comments, but I'm absolutely willing to answer any questions you have, or just be here to listen to concerns of the county verbally in public discourse. So I'm happy to be of service to you all.
As I understand it, Michael, is you have an obligation to come up with some alternatives, maybe 4 alternatives when you do this kind of work. And you don't necessarily, well, I guess you do. The forest does have a preferred alternative of the four
Yes.
the 4 alternatives, and so I think I appreciate that you're fulfilling what your mandate is, and with Nick's letter, we're kind of doing the same as county commissioners. So appreciate the fact that you're willing to have conversation with our team and work on the issue and understand what our wants and needs are.
Yeah.
And either one of the other commissioners want to say anything to Michael or have any questions?
I do.
No, I just glad that we have knowledgeable people to help us and navigate, because the thing I think when we start thinking about wilderness, I always think about fire. If we don't have no roads and no ways to get to the fire, what happened to our forests? And that's the thing that is one of my concerns sometimes when we think something pristine and wilderness, we don't think about the dry grass and the possibility of fire, even just fire from the sky. That doesn't have to be a person building a fire. So thank you.
I think as a county, Michael, we really value open access, and we really value these grazing permits for these grazers, because that impacts their livelihood, and it's maybe one of the biggest economic drivers in the county is agriculture and grazing and those kind of things. We have our economic development office that would like to comment or ask him questions. Elaine Giesler.
Yes, I thank Nick for bringing this letter. But I also want to say, as we try to work on increasing some of our tourism in the area, that the more the wilderness that takes place from the Forest Service and the BLM, all the public land agencies, is really going to limit the residents' ability and visitors' ability to get out there. So that has to be taken into consideration as we move forward with all the public land agencies. How does all that wilderness, limit our ability to help bring people here into our community to enjoy riding and hiking and biking and, whatever outdoor activity, if so much of it is wilderness?
Well, some of those areas being proposed are the most spectacular areas for tourism.
Right.
So
Sorry, didn't
you're
mean-
right, and I'm sure you've heard that loud and clear too, Michael.
Yeah, absolutely. As we frame this up and look at recommended wilderness, we often focused on the word recommended in that
Right.
phrase, and I would just trying to convey it in real terms to yourselves and to the public here in San Juan County. What that represents in alternative B, which is the preferred alternative, are areas that already hold high quality wilderness experiences. So in analyzing for consideration of them being recommended wilderness, many folks think that it's like a letter to Congress saying, hey, we've got wilderness here designated. It is not that. Instead, what we're saying, San Juan County holds special assets that that contribute to people's experiences of solitude and finding their place in nature. And I think that's the better conversation to have. I think it's a better place to start that conversation is just recognizing how special San Juan County is for that, because many of our high-ranking potential or recommended wilderness areas, let me stick to the terminology, are in San Juan County. And many of San Juan County residents enjoy those spaces as well. I absolutely hear Elaine Gisler, as well as many other constituents, talk about the concerns in any future restrictions to management and or development within those spaces. So it's something of strong consideration and very meaningful to the counties, and absolutely 100% committed to continued discourse with that, not only with the commission, but with San Juan County residents.
Thank you for that, Michael. I appreciate your perspective. Michael's been one of the easier agency people to work with, in my opinion. He recognizes what's valuable in San Juan County and is willing to talk and discuss. So we really appreciate you being here today, Michael. And I guess we'll go ahead and take a motion on. Oh, Jamie, go ahead. Yeah.
So I do have a comment and a question, if I might.
This might be for you, Michael.
So probably more to Nick, who's drafted the letter with Plitko.
Okay.
So I'm looking at, I believe it's the second page of the letter. And just on the woodlands, the description
Right.
and value, I appreciate that, Nick, for that work of addressing the fuel wood for harvesting. That's important for us as Native Americans and as a community. So thank you.
Thank you.
The next paragraph following that, I think, is where I'd like to ask for a compromise. In the interest of my heritage and from where I come from, I realize that the language there is protecting plants, tribal plants, herbal plants, and my thoughts is, we're in a drought, and sometimes you have plants that are hard to come by, and I don't know how BLM Forest Services they pay attention to those kinds of herbs. I don't know if there's a handbook developed that the Forest Service or BLM follows and says this is a designated plant that needs to be protected. So that's something that I need to become more familiar of. I don't know if when the tribe came to the table to state their protection of important sacred plants, if they inventoried them and identified them, I do not know, or if they just identified certain landmarks where they regrow at certain seasons. But I'd like to see those plants protected. They don't grow everywhere. They don't. They're grown in certain specific places. So,
And Jamie, that would include willows for basket weaving and those kind of things as well, wouldn't it?
yes, because that's part of that is economic development in a sense too, and cultural preservation.
Right.
So, could we compromise and just not put that there? Could that be a compromise?
Okay, Jimmy, I'm sorry I didn't hear maybe all of that, but I think what I heard was particularly plant communities that are important for tribal use, that those be protected. And I guess this comment, if I'm on the right one, was basically just in those areas that are protected for tribal use that, what did it say? During fire or other operations, that those be protected. And the comment was where practical, since maybe that wouldn't be possible in every instance. But I'm going to defer to Michael. He may have something more specific. This is just one item on that whole issue. Michael, are there, I can't remember now, are there other stipulations or prescriptions in the plan that would allow for protection of these specified plant communities?
Yeah, I think this is it's a very short quote there, but it captures a whole lot. So first of all, just want to thank the commissioner for your comments on this. I think when we're talking about plant populations out there, we know of some plants that are very important to tribal communities in the Four Corners area, in San Juan County, in the rest of the state of Utah. We definitely don't know of every plant or understand the cultural connection to a multitude of plants. So I just wanted to mention one thing we've done as a Forest Service is we've compiled a visual and scientifically descriptive herbarium of plants that we have and distributed that to tribal nations, cultural resource teams, natural resource teams, and tribal nations to help us moving forward in understanding plants from the tribal perspective and how they're important to them. I also think in the area of fuel reduction activities, it's important to remember that encapsulates a lot of different activities. So it could encapsulate things like mechanical, where just to use an instance brought up by the commission, where you may have a willow stand or a cottonwood stand and not necessarily want a mechanical treatment to go through that area because of the cultural importance of that. But we also know that fire and natural fire regime on a landscape can actually promote certain plants in their growth and resiliency and restoration. So it's not a cut and dry of do or do not do. Protection of plants for cultural resources as a cultural resource and through a tribal perspective as important to tribal nations. It's important to convene and discuss with tribal nations about appropriate management moving forward. I think this is just an acknowledgement of that there is more to learn in terms of plants that are important to tribal nations and for traditional use. And there are a multitude of techniques and methods that could be used through fuel reduction activities that could affect them in positive or negative ways. So it's more an acknowledgement that dialogue needs to occur in focusing our efforts with tribal nations when doing fuels reduction activities in order to protect plant populations important to traditional practices and gathering and food sources and whatever that may be. I hope that helps the commission. It is in one sentence. It's actually a very complex thing to do. But to me, that quote is an acknowledgement of the need to have conversations with tribal communities over appropriate protections for plant populations. And it's not necessarily do this, don't do that. It's unique to the species and unique to the area that it applies to. So I hope that helps the conversation.
Could I then maybe make a suggestion to the language to the extent practical, because that's what's catching me. It's to the extent practical almost implies a lax in effort. I'm just being honest. But because we're drawing attention and being careful around the matter, could we then just insert to the extent practical in consultation with tribes?
Yeah, I think that'd help.
Or
remove that sentence.
Or just strike to the extent practical.
Yeah, just take that sentence off, and then you've got on there is respect of tribal values, which he had mentioned that they've got to learn plant populations and plant communities of tribal values should be protected during fuel reduction activities. Protection of those plant communities may not be possible in all instances, and just leave it at that.
Yes, that could be the option.
Yeah, that sounds reasonable.
Yes.
Yeah, well,
So basically just strike adding to the extent practical.
right.
Yep.
Right.
Sure.
Then I'm
So we'll just take that last sentence off.
And it
Then I'm
sounds
fine with
like the
that.
Forest Service is pretty sensitive
yes.
to what your needs are, Jamie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it
So
is.
thank you, Michael.
Thank you, Nick, commissioners, for
Well, thank you for-
understanding.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve the letter
Motion to
That
approve
change.
with that change?
with the change.
Okay, we have a motion by Jamie,
And now second,
second by Sylvia. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 I also, that's 3 in favor, 0 opposed. I anticipate sometimes, so.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Nick.
Yeah, okay, let's see, we're down on
Number 8.
number 8.
Consideration and approval of the interlocal cooperation agreement for environmental health services between San Juan County and Southeastern Health Department. Grant is online.
Go ahead, Grant.
Good afternoon, Yaite, and buenos dias. Can you hear me okay?
We can.
Again, thank you all. Appreciate the chance to be on the agenda and also appreciate the chance to join virtually. I'm in a training in Salt Lake all week, so thank you for this. So a few goals here. Want to show you this agreement, payment related to it, and some next steps if that's helpful. This is all in relation to a serious accident that our environmental health director and health inspector had in August. And let's see, oh, Mac, if you don't mind scrolling to that section, the cover sheet there. And this was in August, and part of our response to that is, oh, well, first of all, I just want to thank the various types of support and concern that have been expressed to him and his family. And also, wanted to share what our process has been to kind of address his duties and responsibilities. So we were able to reach out to Southeast Utah Health Department, our nearest neighbor, who has these environmental health scientists available, and they were really responsive and interested in supporting us as a short-term fix. And we just tried to put here in writing kind of what that expectation was. I did ask that they take a record of the amount of work they did, any related costs, and here it's just listing those duties that they were fulfilling in general. One example I put in the summary is that there was an algal bloom that we let you know about, harmful algal bloom in Kens Lake, for example, and that takes some extra effort to assess, respond to, as well as communicate to the public about. So that was a team effort with their Southeast team. And so this is just kind of just formalizing that short-term arrangement that we've had, and allows us also to make a payment to them, which is the next attachment. So that's the basics of this agreement here. Mac, is there anything in terms of the legal side that you'd like to highlight, or anything else about this in particular?
Nope.
Okay,
Okay.
do we have a motion to approve this request?
Motion.
Motion by Jamie,
A second,
second by Sylvia. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Aye also, that's three in favor, 0 opposed. There you go, Grant. You got another one, or?
I just wanted to share a brief update as far as our next steps, since this is something we're hearing from the public a lot about, since they still have needs that we're trying to address. Southeast has expressed that that they do need us to transition to more of a contract situation with an environmental health scientist because our environmental health director is still on medical leave, and we're still waiting on kind of the long-term situation there. So just wanted to let you all know, and the public know, that working with MAC, right, we're working together to get the request for proposal out as soon as possible and get that contract in place. So more of an awareness there.
Okay, thanks
So
for
much.
that update.
Thanks, Mac. Thanks, commissioners.
Okay, next, Mac.
Right. The next one on your agenda, you have the consideration and approval of the 2023 municipal election services interlocal agreement between San Juan County and Monticello City for an estimated $10,500. This one is Lyman's.
Anything you want to say, Lyman?
No, the reason one of the primary reasons that election costs have increased so much is that the company that assists us with the software to create the ballot for the 3 communities
Mm-hmm.
and the printer of the ballots has now moved to, rather than a per ballot cost, to just a fixed cost of roughly running around 12,000 total. So those expenses will be sent to each of the 3 communities.
Sure.
So for printing and ballot preparation. So it's changed, and it has increased significantly for them. Also, some of the radio and newspaper ads that we're putting out there, and language services to help all of the residents to
Right.
understand the election and prepare for 2024. Thank you.
There's also a new one here that we passed along the cost to the cities in town. Just to remind you, Blanding, you don't see a Blanding contract on here. Blanding has enough candidates. They don't need to run through the election process because of the candidates and the vacant seats that are available, correct?
They will
And
have
so-
the expense leading up to the moment that the election was canceled.
Okay, so we would probably need a contract for that one.
Yes,
on
I'll
there.
bring
So
one back for that.
that one will come, but that one wasn't as critical as to
Yes.
get these.
Yeah.
So we already did the one for Bluff. We'll have to amend that one. One of the things that we've been working with, one of the Department of Justice's requirements for San Juan County is Navajo interpretation services throughout the entire county. So any city, any municipality, town that holds an election also has to have that Navajo interpretation service provided for them. San Juan County, we've done this before for our Navajo Nation during those, and so we had this staff that we've used on a temporary basis during our elections. We had already worked with the Navajo Nation with our interpretation of documents, and so we just continue that effort, but we will pass along those costs to the municipalities and towns as well. They also have a requirement to post that information, the Navajo interpreted language, on their websites and do their advertising as well at a local level. Lyman's done a great job in pushing that messaging on our website as well as through the media and the radio stations. So it's already set for a lot of the municipalities, but this is a cost that is a pass through from the county where we are contracting with them to host their elections. And so there is a little bit of increase in there because of that Department of Justice requirement that we provide that service. It's not a Department of Justice requirement that we provide the Ute language, but during our county elections, we do have the Ute language interpretation as well on the San Juan County elections that are hosted and the statewide election that come through, just not the municipals.
Very good. We have a motion to approve this contract with the cities.
Motion?
Motion by Jamie,
A second.
second by Sylvia. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye also. That's 3 in favor, 0 opposed. Next, Mac.
Okay, this one here is consideration and approval of a resolution of the governing body of San Juan County authorizing the execution and delivery of a municipal lease purchase agreement with respect to the acquisition, financing, and leasing of certain equipment for the public benefit within the terms provided herein, authorizing the execution and delivery of documents required in connection therewith, and authorizing the taking of all other actions necessary to consummate of the transactions contemplated by this resolution. This is just continuing on with the lease agreement that we entered in with Unified Fleet for our leased vehicles. They also, similar to how we had to do with Wheeler on our Caterpillar leases, we have to formally do a resolution accepting that, and then the lease agreement, which you approved during last commission meeting. This is just the next step in getting that to move forward. As a reminder, our county leased vehicles were typically on an annual basis, as where we would take, say, for example, in the sheriff's department, take a sheriff's patrol vehicle and rotate it in every year. That was an administrative nightmare. This now allows us to go to that 3 to 5 year option on there. And so this is just setting up that formalized structure and resolution.
Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Jamie,
A second?
second by Sylvia. This is for item 10. All in favor say aye.
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 Aye also, that's 3 in favor, 0 opposed. Number 11 also, Mac.
Okay, number 11. This one here is consideration and approval of a resolution supporting Senators Lee's Senate Bill Historic Roadways Protection Act, prohibiting the use of federal funds to finalize and implement the specified travel management plans in the state of Utah until all RS 2477 cases have been fully adjudicated, and preventing the implementation of the already published revised travel management plans required by the 2017 settlement agreement until the RS 2477 cases can be adjudicated. This resolution is primarily in support of Senator Lee's effort, which you've heard several Congress and senators support as well. We felt that it was important that at a local level, that San Juan County also support their efforts on our behalf.
Okay, Nick, you want to speak to this?
Well, I think Max basically covered it.
Sorry, Nick, I thought you left. And I'm like,
Yes, what's happening is that with the settlement agreement, BLM has to comply by creating or revising travel management plans. And in some instances, there are closures that would be involved on roads that are under RS 2477 claim by the state of Utah. So as Mac has said, Senator Lee's bill would prohibit BLM from further, I think even further development of plans, and to cease implementation of existing travel plans that have closed RS 2477 routes until all these 12,500 and some odd RS 2477 cases have been resolved in federal court. So it is a resolution supporting Senator Lee's efforts on that.
Okay, any questions? Do we have a motion to approve the letter?
I'll make a
The
The
motion.
resolution,
I'll make a motion.
okay, motion by Sylvia,
Now second.
second by Jamie. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Aye also, that's 3 in favor, 0 opposed. Number 12.
okay, you have consideration and approval of the standard service provider contract between San Juan County and Hanson Planning Group for the San Juan County Economic Mobility and Opportunity Project. This was the project that we received the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation funding award for, to create and perform this study for government entities and Native Americans, try to continue or create more of an effort at a lower level, elementary school age on up, into entering government sector workforce. And so we've gone through and done a lot of planning efforts on ourselves. Part of the contract, we had mentioned that we would hire a consultant to also assist us. We're also applying for funds in support of this project through the Navajo Revitalization Fund. I had the chapters through the Utah Navajo Commission approved a resolution supporting our application to NRF funding to kind of continue this. So this consultant, will hire on the consultant to help us culminate all of the data that we've received, all of the efforts that we've done as staff, put it in a report, but then also continuing this on a little bit further so that we can reach out and have meetings with USU and the school district and principals, and try to move this effort a little bit further along than what we've done at staff. But it's kind of in support of the funds that we received from that grant, that $35,000.
Do we have a motion to approve?
A motion?
Motion by Jamie,
A second?
second by Sylvia. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Aye also, that's 3 in favor, 0 opposed. Number 13, Mac.
Okay, on this one here, I need you to enter into a public hearing.
Okay, so this is for 13 and 14.
And yeah,
15?
it's 15. And so we just make a motion to enter in public
Okay.
hearing for each
Do
individual
we have a
item.
motion to go into public hearing?
Motion?
Motion by Jamie,
A second?
second by Sylvia. All in favor say aye.
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 Aye also, that's 3 in favor, 0 opposed. We're now in public hearing.
Okay, the first one on here is consideration and or approval of 2.5 acres of the El Rancho subdivision property rezone application to residential flex. This is in our Spanish Valley, obviously. Let me see if I've got a map on here showing the location or about where we're at. So in Spanish Valley, you have kind of this island unto itself that it's kind of surrounded by other uses, and the anticipation of the property owner, Sheik is here as well and can speak to it, is to create to rezone his property that more aligns with those properties that are around him. This property is adjacent to an old zone that exists in the area where you have the gravel pits, and we couldn't change the zoning on those. But the intentions overall is to really have the overnight accommodation overlay applied to this. That overlay can only exist in certain zones, and residential flex is one of those. In the SVR zone, in the Spanish Valley residential zone, it's not allowed to have those overnight rentals in there. And so just kind of keeping in coordination with properties around it and what's taking place in that area, the property owner has requested a zone change, and then that next step. So this zone change was the first, then we will follow it with that overnight accommodations overlay, which will be placed on these properties to allow them to perform these overnight rentals in this area. Kind of it, when you look at the zoning and on the zoning map, this area was one of those areas that was zoned a different zone, but at the last minute we found out that those gravel pit properties had to keep the current zoning. We couldn't change those by state code, and so because of that, it kind of created this little island that really didn't make sense of Spanish Valley residential. It's borders to highway commercial, and so it's trying to make sure that it fits within the whole characteristics of this area
And this
without
property
creating an
has-
island.
Has access to water and sewer.
Yep.
Okay, very good. Did you want to speak to it or say anything?
Yeah, I think Mac hit it,
Okay,
reviewed all the details on
okay,
it, so.
very good. Do you have a motion to approve?
Or we've got I don't know if there's any
we can't do-
public.
Oh, that's
There's no
right.
public
Do we have
unless you
public
want to
that
speak
wants to make
to it.
comment? Doug, you want to make comment? You're about to go to sleep. Okay, very good. No public comment then.
Okay, then you can go ahead and make a
We have a
motion,
motion
to
to
approve.
approve.
I make a motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion by Sylvia,
I'll second.
second by Jamie. Further discussion, seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Aye also, that's 3 in favor, 0 opposed. Next, Mac.
Need to make a motion to enter into public comment for this item, item number
Okay, do
14.
Do we just need to ask for public comment then, or go in?
Go into public comment, so it's formal in the minutes that we entered into public
Well,
comment.
we never came out of the last one. Can we just go in or consider this one? We are in.
Public comment, okay, that's
We
fine.
are in, okay,
Duly noted.
all right. Do you want to,
All right, this one is consideration and approval of 45.5 acres of the Valley Estates property rezone application to residential flex, similar situation. Sheik is also the developer for this property,
Okay.
wanting to do the same. Just as orientation, we did approve Balance Rock Resort, which is just above this location as an overnight accommodations overlay. So this is kind of in coordination with those efforts that's taken place from Balance Rock. The developer would like to do the same down on their property as well. So it would encompass this entire area as residential flex. They will come back in later for that overlay to be applied to this property so they can continue that use on down through this area. Sheik has been really good about working with us. And as well as Balance Rock, the adjoining property owners, so that we can make sure when we look at some of the roads and the easements for this property that they're consistent with the development above. So it's kind of developing this whole entire area, even though you have two developers in different companies. But in here also is kind of, we will continue some of the roads that we made Balance Rock widen for that potential becoming a public street. Sheik has also agreed doing the same as they continue some of those roads down into the development, that they would likewise do that same, make sure that those are widened for that future.
And we've cleared this with our road department.
Yeah, so TJ was in some of those discussions early on when we pointed out, and it came back from the land use training that we had come down and present to you, where, you know, it doesn't matter what you do on a road that goes through another development that has to connect to other properties in other areas. So if the public is naturally using it to get to another location through these developments, after 10 years, no matter what you do, it becomes a public road. So in anticipation of that, we're working with the developers now, saying we're not going to take these as public roads right now, but after 10 years by law, county, guess what? You get it. You get it. And so plan for it now. And these developers have been awesome to work with us on that.
Good.
So that we can plan for it now, so that if these are all overnight rentals, that they're not parking on the street, and that if we all of a sudden take these in 10 years and have to take them, we're trying to snowplow. We're not snowplowing a 30-foot width.
Yeah.
And so both of them have been really cognizant of our future and of willing to do that. And now this is just getting the zoning in place so that we can approach that and have that overnight rental in these areas.
Do I have a motion to approve the 45 acres?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, motion by Sylvia,
I'll second.
second by Jamie. Any other discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye also, that's 3 in favor, 0 opposed. And now we have one more to consider. while we're
One
in
more public hearing. This one is regarding the map. All that I did really on this map is update the efforts that we've gone through with the past couple months in Spanish Valley. Wanted to make sure that you were fully aware and that we had a map matching what was approved. And so you have kind of these overnight accommodations overlay that are on the map and cross-hatched, so that those are differentiated in the map, because those are things that we've approved. Balance Rock Resort, that one is on here. Now we will have to add, so in your motion of approval, it will be, you're approving the map with the additional approvals that took place today, changing this zone to residential flex on this piece of property, as well as, like I'd mentioned, this little island over here that's unto itself. So we'll update those, and then when we come in and if the overnight accommodation overlay is approved, we'll place that overlay on those properties so that the public knows that these were approved. In the past, they had other properties that were designated as existing zoning. Existing zoning, when I kind of took over the planning and was looking at this, I was like, what is that? What does this mean? Nowhere in our zoning ordinance for Spanish Valley did it mention existing zone. And so it was really confusing. And really what those are, when they approved the map, they highlighted those properties that had overnight accommodations on there. Since then, there's been a lot of overnight accommodation movements, or overnight businesses come in but may not be approved and some that were existing before the zoning changes. It doesn't make sense to track what was approved before these zoning changes in this zoning ordinance was applied. And it's basically, essentially, it's a non-conforming use, and the zoning's just changed on those properties. And so I took that off of there. I also did come in, and if you remember back to Sitla and their planning efforts, they did come in under that PC zone and approve certain portions of their property. I wanted to designate, and highlight which areas of their property were approved as that PC zone. It's all in a PC zone, but they've already gone ahead and laid out their community plan that the commission approved. And so that's on here now, designating those properties as that South Valley community is what they called it. So the South Valley community PC zone, and that was what was approved in that South Valley community plan. And so I wanted that highlighted on here. It matches our zoning. It was the process they went through and commissioners approved. So this is everything that's been approved.
So the South Valley community is on both sides of the highway.
The highway, correct?
Okay.
Yep. Both sides of the highway is what they had approved for.
Okay.
And in that plan, they listed everything that they had, all of their intentions for South Valley community, density, residential mixes, how much commercial square footage. They have all of that was approved by the commission. So this map just reflects those approvals that have come through.
Okay, so do we have a motion to approve this Spanish Valley zoning map?
With those changes.
With
that are
those
approved
changes.
today.
Yeah.
Motion to approve with
Motion
changes.
by Jamie,
A second.
second by Sylvia. Further discussion, seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Aye also, that's 3 in favor, 0 opposed. Thanks for doing that, Mac.
Okay, no problem.
That's big
you.
help.
That'll help.
Okay, we have any closed session we need?
Nope.
to?
Just commission
we have-
reports.
Commission reports.
We
Who
need
would
a
like to?
motion to come out of the.
Oh,
yes,
motion
sir,
to
thank
come
you.
out of public hearing.
Motion.
Motion by Jamie, second by Sylvia.
Yep.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Aye also, that's 3 in favor, 0 opposed. We're out of public hearing now. Now we can do commission reports. Who would like to start? Do you want me to start?
Yep.
Okay, last week I went to St. George for my CIB meeting. And let's see.
Certificate of Indian blood?
Huh?
Is that certificate of Indian blood?
CIB.
Probably. And this week I'm pretty much going to stick around. I do have a deposition on Thursday for a legal action. I have to be deposed on an item that happened before you two got on the commission. So
It's not our fault then.
hopefully you can't take any blame
Okay.
for what happened. Upcoming UAC convention on the 14th, 15th, and 16th. Mac, do we have motel rooms?
We do.
We're at.
UAC is all set at the Hilton right there at
We're
that
at.
conference center.
We have rooms at the Hilton.
Yep, right there at that conference center. So I think it's the Hilton. That's
Tuesday,
right there.
Wednesday, and Thursday night.
Correct. Yep. I reserved those early on,
Yeah.
so that I knew that we were
Glad
all
you did,
staying.
because the St. George Marathon is Saturday.
Yes.
And
So
you
we
went-
booked those months ago so that we would have, once UAC told us the date, we went ahead and reserved everything. So
Hopefully you got me 2 queens.
yes, I believe so. I
Okay.
think two. Everybody's 2 queens.
2 queens, good. All right, and so let me look at my reminder here. think that the president of the college is coming down pretty soon, but I can't remember what date. So I won't worry about that. Yeah, that's about all I have to report.
Wanna go next, Commissioner?
Well, I went to the economic summit, the base
Yeah.
camp. Yeah, and that was really good. That's all I have to report.
I'll go last.
You're gonna go last? Okay. Like I said earlier, I did spend time with the basic camp, and the night before the scheduled event on Thursday night, we went to the museum, the H.S. City Museum, for a tour and just visiting and just kind of evening support for the group. Also, my husband and I got to help with the marathon on Saturday morning, and also now the official trainings have ended. I decided to concentrate a little bit more on some of our community events, and so I've been working with the Rotary Club and a little park in the behind the San Juan Theater, and that has been a nice opportunity. And I also mentioned earlier about having worked with UNAMI and coming into receiving $10,000 for the USU. I'll be going this on Thursday to the 7-County Coalition meeting, and then to UAC also next week. So, and I just want to say this week is a year anniversary of campaigning and finishing a race.
Yeah.
So last year Halloween was the most stressful Halloween for me, and this was the most happy Halloween.
Enjoyable.
Because I was just there not stressing out by election or anything. I just sat down and waited for the little kids.
Good.
We also want to say we had a nice event here in this building. We had a soup competition, and they were so delicious. There were 5 soups. They had tied for first place, so we only had one prize. So we had to really figure out how to choose the winner. And also they had decoration, and some people got prizes. Some people got a little note on the door that didn't participate. So, but it was nice. And then the children came trick-or-treating, and so that was nice.
Jamie, did you know about the soup?
The soup? Mutton stew?
Did you have?
There's no mutton soup.
No mutton stew. That's probably why I didn't
Did you?
come.
What?
Clam chowder.
I didn't, but I'm sure it was sent somewhere.
I got a note on my door because I didn't participate.
I didn't want to reveal
You didn't make
anybody.
any soup?
No, I didn't decorate, make soup.
Well, he ate soup even though he didn't like soup. He went and ate it. I told him when we were.
Who brought the lentil soup?
Well, I couldn't find lentils in any town.
couldn't?
I went looking for
Oh, I
lentils, and all
thought-
the store no lentils.
Nobody eats it.
And then I
Anybody?
made a clam chowder soup, and when it was time to add the clams,
No clams?
it wasn't clams. It was it was another kind of fish. I never tasted the little can. I guess we're next to each other, so I grabbed. So I never brought it in. I just kept it in the car.
No menudo?
No tomato.
No
No noodle.
menudo?
Oh, they had amazing.
Hominy, what did we get?
We have all kinds of soup. Our new.
Yeah, Rosa,
She made the best taco. What's it? Enchilada soup with all the topping.
Wow.
I'm making you guys hungry. We're so.
Yeah. Well, the pressure is making my report fast then.
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to start by thanking you, each one of you commissioners. It's been a wonderful year working with you, and I really appreciate the orientation and the support in getting to the level we're at now. Commissioner Stubbs and I know somewhat what we're working and dealing with, but also grateful for our administrator and for public health and our county road department, because they've been out into my area. In particular, yesterday they came out to Red Mesa chapter, and we had been expecting to solve all the road problems that the reservation had, and we all came together. No Bureau of Indian Affairs, just Navajo Department of Transportation. So I think maybe it's an emotional support group on roads right now. However, we do find that it is essential to bring BIA into our conversation at some point. I think the takeaways from our meeting with Red Mesa and our roads is two things. One is Resolute. Well, they're no longer Resolute. They're now Elk Petroleum. Elk Petroleum is in a position to maintain their own company roads that are on county roads. And they are willing to put down magnesium chloride to help solve the dust issue with all the workers going back and forth into traffic. They struggled with being able to continue to maintain the roads that they do have because either BIA or Navajo Department of Transportation has stated they cannot continue that without proper approvals. And so that left Elk Petroleum out with, well, we want to continue to maintain the roads. We want to continue to protect public health because of the dust control. So how can we solve this? And so one solution we all came to was with our contract that we have with NDOT. We can simply insert language that recognizes Elk Petroleum as a collaborative agent to maintain their specific roads, and then just sending that off for approval, and that should solve the issue. Hopefully, fingers crossed. The second thing is Red Mesa had recently approved Navajo Route 35. Navajo Route 35 is the road that runs from Montezuma Creek, from south of the bridge that crosses the San Juan River, and it goes eastward towards what they used to call Phillips Camp, and then continuing all the way down to Red Mesa chapter. And I think the biggest concern was the turn at south of Montezuma, just north of the NTUA roads. There's a road that goes back to the bridge. The roads have been chipping and a lot of big holes that is causing some one fatality, not major fatality, but some risk for drivers because people are avoiding the potholes. And NDOT does not inventory that road. They don't know who it belongs to. No one wants to assume it. However, we've learned that NDOT, or maybe it was BIA, that created a road plan that connects back to the bridge. And it's a matter of determining if the route continues through on top of the Phillips Camp Road, or if it goes west of the little hill back to the bridge. And so NDOT will help us dig out the right-of-way and the road design, so we will ultimately know the definite route of N35. Then it'll help us to proceed with how we can move forward and getting that part of our maintenance fix in the future. So I think that's progress, as opposed to just being an emotional road support group. I think we've made two big achievements there. Community Justice Coordinating Council, we've had 5 meetings now. We've completed our mapping activities, which encompasses identifying all the agencies and organizations that work with criminals that go through our criminal justice system, identifying all the resources and agencies within our county. And now we're moving on to identify what the gaps and needs are so that we can establish a prioritization list of things we would like to ask the legislature to fund in our county. A good example is, and possibly this will make it onto our priority list, is a domestic violence program for perpetrators, because they seem to not be available. There's more programs available to victims, but there's not any for perpetrators. And so no one in our county is able to provide those services, and we like to see that. That's one example. Another example is a drug testing facility. I think is going to be important. One that can be permanent. One where adults will be able to go and get drug tested and get their results, and it's available to them hopefully 7 days a week. That's a wish, but that would be nice, so that folks can continue to meet court orders and compliance so they can progress in their own treatments. And then finally, a drug treatment facility. I think that would be great. That's just some examples of things that we'd like to all negotiate together to establish our priority to submit to the legislature for funding. So that's our ultimate goal. And I'm hoping we continue to meet after our work to talk about data. We have various systems in our county. Everyone has their own independent system and sets of data, but we're not able to connect. And so we'd like to have a bridge where we can dump all the various independent data we work within to be able to get a more accurate picture of the needs of our county and the populations we serve. And hopefully that'll come in some form of government sharing agreement or something like that. And the tribe needs to be involved as well, because they do a lot of work in our county, but we don't benefit from that information too. And we need that. So hopefully we can get to that point. Looking forward to the UAC conference. I know that's where Commissioner Stubbs and I were going to be given an award. We're graduating from our year-long new elected officials training. So hopefully that gives us one more point to being more legit.
So, yeah.
And,
you're getting certified.
Getting certified. So yeah. So I guess when we ever get questioned, we don't know what we're doing, we can pull it out and
Pull a
say,
certificate
well,
out.
we got a
Yes, I've been
certificate.
trained.
But other than that, I appreciate county's administration, employees and staff within the county. I think the next step is let's continue to have our county departments engage with the tribes down south with my tribe, so we can all connect and work together towards good solutions. And I'd love to see that happen in my tenure. That would be pretty cool.
As long as we don't have to connect with Argentina. That's further south.
That's true. That's too far south.
I've been sending you guys pictures on Facebook so you can be tempted to go there for a conference.
There you go.
But that's the end of my report, commissioners. Thank you. Wish you all a good day.
Very good. Okay,
Hahea.
we have one more motion.
I say hahea to him. That means thanks.
We have a motion to adjourn.
Oh. I guess I'm motion
ahead,
to
Commissioner.
adjourn.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, also. That's 3 in favor, 0 opposed. We're now adjourned. But when's our photographic session?
Right now.